DAE look back at things you did in the past and think, wow, I look like an idiot? Only about 400 times a day. Holy shit, when I see FB post from 12 years ago come up as a memory, I cringe so bad. Constantly. I'm pretty sure that feeling is universal. Yeah. That's how you learn and grow. It's part of becoming an adult. I spend a lot of time doing this. Especially at around 2 a.m. when I should be sleeping. What are your opinions of mullets? You know, I absolutely love the 80-90s, but that is the most awful haircut imaginable. A cousin of mine had a baby recently and had pictures taken. His girlfriend and the baby looked normal and happy, and there he is looking like somebody they just picked up off the street. It just doesn't work. I had a mullet, so I kinda love it. But I agree, many people jump on the mullet haircut to show how they are, but it doesn't suit many people. I have big curly hair. And this type of haircut is way more flattering on curly hair than straight hair emo. One of my children is currently cultivating one. I believe it's referred to as a wolf cut, and I think that it's goofy AF, but she's super stoked about it, so pop off. Queen. I guess. It feels like a very hipster thing for her particular age group, and along with mustaches. I hope that they work through them quickly and come out on the other side soon. Depends on who cut the mullet, who is wearing it, and how it's styled. Mullets can look very cool if they're crafted by a skilled hairdresser. If they are done in someone's kitchen, they can look a certain kind of way. Mullets are very loosely defined, so realistically a lot more of us have mullets than we initially think. We have just gotten more creative with them. But I really like some newer styles for mullets even if I wouldn't get them. I've never been a big fan of mullets. But being that I live in a major hipster city, they start to grow on me. And sometimes they can look great depending on who's rocking it. I still am not a huge fan though. In New Zealand, you can't go 2 feet without someone, not just men, having a mullet. I think they look dumb 99% of the time. They only work on people who could already pull off any haircut, thanks to their innate beauty/attitude/confidence. Technically, I had a mullet when I was growing out my buzz cut Lamau. Dark times. What was the best TV show from the 90s? Does anyone else remember Homicide, Life on the Street? I used to really enjoy that show. Great cast. Gritty drama. Law and Order. The 90s brings you the introduction of the internet. Law and Order is a great time capsule show. Laws we have on the books now weren't laws then. Watching stage cop desks go from a telephone and a typewriter to computers with huge centers to flat screens to laptops. It's pretty neat. Even the guns go from well guns to Glocks. You only needed a TV and a good antenna back in the 90s because ABC had some excellent family-friendly primetime shows back in the day. What happened to good wholesome family television? Boy Meets World, Home Improvement, The Drew Carey Show, Family Matters, Step by Step, Perfect Strangers. The Adventures of Pete Pete. It's weird and quirky in a way I just don't think you could get nowadays. Especially for a kid's show. It dealt with very normal situations in absurd ways rather than lesson of week, plus it sounds so 90s thanks to the music from Polaris. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Despite what an asshole Will Smith has turned out to be, it was still the best show. That or In Living Color. I watch clips of it now and it was so ahead of its time and produced some of the most talented actors/performers of the past few decades. Jim Carrey, Jamie Foxx, J-Lo. The 90s were a great time for TV. Full House, Home Improvement, In Living Color, Sinbad, Married with Children, Family Matters, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, Seinfeld, X-Files, Blossom, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Boy Meets World. I could go on and on. That's not even including all the great cartoons and animated series. Women of Reddit, what was your financial journey like after divorce? I was broke for a while. Danced around the red for about 2 years. My now husband made sure I could pay bills, and if he found out I was in the red, he'd give me money. I never wanted to take his generosity for granted and avoided it as much as possible. My divorce came with the complication of losing my job. Since I worked for his mom, I had to entirely relocate, long story with lots of abuse, so everything was reset and I was starting from scratch. I have since recovered mostly. It's been 6 years. It can be done. But it can be really, really hard. Divorced in early 2017. I struggled for a while. Single income in the Bay Area is tough. Me and 50-50 custody of 2 kids in a 1-bedroom apartment, but we made it work and I look back on the time we spent in that apartment fondly. Eventually I met my, now, husband and we have purchased a home together. I also went back to school after my divorce. I have since finished my AA and BA and I am working on my MSW. I'm doing better financially than I ever have and am on track to make much more money in the next few years. 3 years later I'm still recovering. Home ownership is still many years down the road. We both scraped by to get our home together and divorced less than a year after. And not long after our divorce, she had a settlement from a discrimination case at her work. What idiots do blatantly illegal things to an HR vice director? So yeah, I didn't get that financial windfall and I also work in a lower paying career. Although by choice, I'm chipping away at my debts. But I absolutely love my work and don't mind taking more time to sort out my finances as long as I'm loving what I do. What was a trend during your childhood that was incredibly stupid but everyone did? Knuckles, might be called something else, But what we did was 1v1 spin a coin, and then the next person would have to flick it to keep it alive. If you made it drop, you lose, and as punishment you had to place your fist down on the table and have the other person slide the coin at your knuckles as fast as they could. Hurt like hell. Getting tattoos, but by getting a pencil without its nib and drawing it over the skin till it creates a scar, but in the form of your desired design. I really didn't want one, but when a friend eventually gave it to me, I had to hide a scar from my parents of a flower on wrist for months. More in the teen years, but playing quarters, where you'd spin a quarter and try to keep it spinning. If it fell on your turn, you had to put your knuckles down on the table while the other person would fling the quarter from across the table at your knuckles. It could get pretty bloody. Eating Uhu glue sticks. Apparently they tasted a bit like caramel. Half my class got into it for about a week until the teachers realized what was going on and confiscated all the remaining glue. This was in 1998. Uhu might come in different flavors these days. Getting your hair straightened. Lots of girls had their hair straightened. Even the girls with straight hair straightened theirs for some reason. I have wavy to curly hair and often got bullied for it because I was the odd one out in a room filled with straight-haired kids. Hell, even the teachers straightened their hair. Binning, a bullying process of forcing people butt first into a dustbin, trash can. The ultimate goal was to wedge them in so far that the victim was folded in half with only their upper body and lower legs and feet protruding from the bin. Posting, a group of boys grab a male victim, pull his legs apart and smash his testicles into a post, lamp, rugby or goal post.